So we've got a little bit of an Aukey bonanza today. I might even use that as the name of the video actually. So I contacted Aukey recently because one of my power port things, the AC wall chargers, this exact one, failed. It wasn't putting out the current that it was meant to be putting out, and in fact the voltage was dropping down to about 3 volts. So I contacted them, said that had happened. I'd had it for about a year and a bit, so and I used them heavily. So I don't, but not that I'm saying that's the reason. But they said, you know, they'd send me a new one, and they did. So they sent me another one, but they also told me about these things and asked if I wanted to take a look at this tiny little double wall charger. So I thought I'd have a look at it, and this rather weird kind of bigclive.com appropriate product. And so I'm going to do a little bit of a Big Clive impression today and take a look at this, take it apart and see what makes it tick, what it's like on the inside. I've already had this out of the box, spoilers. It's awesome. I don't want to break it. I really like it. And this one's a bit by the by because they're just replacing something I'd previously got. So we know what this is. We've seen these before. These are the ones that I generally use. I do have a new one of these. I think I reviewed it a while back. I bought it and it had the orange connector in there for the quick charge. And this is just the AI charge, the smart charge. So we'll put that to the one side for now. Let's have a look at this light first, just because I want to see it. And then we'll do a quick test on this because they sent it for free, so it's very kind of them. Oh, crumbs. So, oh, spoilers, all of these bits. So this is the light. I'm really excited about it. What it is, it's an RGB light, like a little night light, really. It doesn't light your way in the dark, although it is bright enough. Is it switched on? Okay, no, but I've spoiled that. It's got a touch sensor on the top that you tap to turn it on. And honestly, I really like it. So let's turn it on. So it's got this nice golden glow. If I turn off the lights here, it'll probably be easier for you guys to see. Yeah, it's got this warm white light, which is just beautiful. So I use this. I've got it in my bedroom usually, and I use it just as a light before I go to sleep, and then I just turn it off before I go to bed. And to turn it off, you just tap it and it sort of fades out, and tap it to turn it back on again. The tap is also used, well, it's not a tap, it's press and hold to vary the brightness. So I can increase the brightness by touching it once, then if I touch it again, it will dim down to its lowest level. And that's the lowest level, look. So it's still on. It's very bright in the complete darkness. I've got a light on in the room here, and then I can just bring it back up. It's beautiful, I love it. But that's not all. So we have a press on the bottom button here. Let's just turn the light back on so you can see. There's a button on the bottom here that you can press to change the light. Now I think this is the color changing mode. It is. So when you press and hold, you can change the color that the light is. I'm going to turn this off again. So it's got an RGB LED in here, and when you can keep it pressed to scroll through the colors. You'll see a bit of banding here. Sometimes the PWM is visible in this. Like, I think it's on the blue, I can see it. Oh no, on the red I can see it. But it's just lovely. The camera is going to be like doing this rolling shutter thing all over the place, but it's a really nice little display. So one more mode is the color changing mode. So this will change color gradually over time, all on its own, which is like a nice little feature to have. It's not, I don't like the colored light in my room, so it isn't something I like, but people do like little feature walls, so you could just pop this down and do that. It's USB rechargeable, so it's got to have a lithium-ion battery in here somewhere, but it lasts a long time. So I charged it up fully and I've been using it for weeks, and yeah, that's how long I've had it and not done anything with it. And the last mode, which is, so there are two modes to start with. So this is the bright white mode. So there's a warm white and a bright white mode. Let's just turn this one down. So this one is more for illumination than it is for sort of mood lighting, because it is incredibly bright. So you can see it shine through my hand there. It is bright. And then we go on to the warm white, which is a nicer color. Anyway, let's get the lights back on and turn it off. and we'll try and take it apart in a second. So on the back, we have a little sort of silicon rubber hanger, but it also acts as, I haven't taken this sticker off, the IP65. I don't know what that rating means. Is it splash proof? It's certainly not submersion proof, is it? Anyway, we've got, this is the port for the USB, which I'm going to open with a screwdriver because my nails are all bitten off. So we've got micro USB, and you'll notice the screwdriver sticking there. It's because it's got a huge magnet on the bottom, very strong. And that's it, you can stick it onto metal things. What have I got here other than that? I haven't really got anything else here that's metal, but you can stick it onto things and hold it up. And just on that screwdriver, imagine on a flat surface, that's going to be held pretty well. You could probably put it horizontally on something like that. In fact, you can on a screwdriver, albeit spinning around. Now, that's sort of the makeup of the thing, and we've got a touch sensor here. I don't know how that works exactly, but it is detecting a double tap there. Inside the box, we have a user manual, which I haven't read actually. That was all very intuitive. There might be some hidden features, but I just decided just to tap around. It's a very intuitive interface. Switching between light modes, light memory function. Oh yeah, it does remember the mode that it was on before. Let's see if there's anything else. No, the rest of it is in a different language, so it's very small. It comes with a USB cable. I haven't used that. It comes with some little metal discs with some double-sided stuff on the back, and they are magnetic. So it means you could stick that to a wall or wherever you want to put this, which is pretty awesome. And it also comes with this pretty much useless carabiner. It's not going to hold a lot of weight, but it might be good for sticking on the end of there and hooking it up onto something. So nice little addition, that. But what we want to do is get inside it, right? So let's give that a go. I think it's pretty much well put together. I love their little, is it the warranty card or a sticker? I think it's a sticker as well, but I like the pattern on there. So we're going to try and get into it. I bought some tools for prying things open. Of course, I watch Big Clive stuff, so he's got a spudger. And so I bought something that looks like a spudger. It's got a pry tool in this, or an opening tool. And so if I need to, I can resort to using that. Now the edge on here is pretty smooth, but when I press down, I can hear that it's slightly glued, so I think it must be clipped in. So I'm going to be, I don't know if you can hear the clicking. Let's, I'll bring it up close to the mic. You might be able to hear that, but I've been doing that for a little while now, just to loosen this up. And we're going to see if we can just pop the case open in some fashion. There we go. It is glued. You can see some glue around the edge here. I'm just going to refocus the camera. So you can see some glue around the edge here, and I'm just going to peel it away. I'm not sure what the touch sensor, I haven't turned it off. Oh well. I'm not sure what the touch sensor is attached to, whether it's glued to the top of the lid or not. So we're going to be very careful, or not too careful, when prying it open. Crack, crack. Oh, I can sort of see in. The touch sensor is not glued to anything, so I can pull the whole thing out. Excellent. That was easy. It says, oh, look at that. Let's turn the lights off so you can see that. Ah, you can't. Let me change the, there you go. That's the arrangement of LEDs there. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 12? We've got 12 LEDs there. Are they the RGB type? So if we can just scroll through, we'll be able to see whether they... No, okay, so we've got 3 green ones there. And red. Ah, so we've got 3 RGB LEDs here. But what about the cool white? So that was warm white that we had before. we've got cool white on a separate ring on the outside. So these are individual LEDs. Again, you can't see that because the, let's change that, and there we go, you can now see them. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, no, hang on, I've lost count. 4, 4, 4. Okay, so we've got 14 LEDs on the outside on the bright white. So actually it's putting out more light on this area. And this dome just sort of, and that's at a, is that dim or is that bright? Let's find out. So that, it's because I've changed the intensity of the camera, isn't it? So we could look directly at it. Right then, let's turn it off and we'll carry on. So we've got some screws here, so let's see if we can get in there with this screwdriver I have to hand, which is a flathead, but it looks like it's working, so I'm content enough with that. I don't have any other ones to hand. I don't know where they've gone. We'll just get in here, just get these screws out. I didn't need to use the spudger at all there, so that is good. But then Aukey make good stuff, don't they? Oh God, we've got to look at that USB charger yet. I'd forgotten. It feels potted here. This feels like plastic that's been poured on, but I can't really see if that's the case. Let's try one of the other tools that came with the spudger, shall we? It is this, a big flat-bladed thing. Great for me putting my hand into stuff that might have an electrical connection. That seems to have worked pretty well. A little bit more resistance here for some reason. Hello, look at this. Well, that's our circuit board. I'm not going to see much on the top of there without ripping off all of this lovely potted stuff, so I shan't bother, but we have our battery here, incredibly well protected in there. Let's take that out. There we are. So we have, what does that say? 2,200 milliamp hour battery, 3.7 volts, so it's a lithium battery. It's kind of nice, it's got its own little PCB here, and it's got this sort of protective tape around the outside holding it on. That's a very interesting construction. I've never seen that before, but then again, I've not taken them apart many lights. Maybe Big Clive's seen a lot of those. We've got a switch assembly on the bottom here, and we've got a circuit board here that looks like it isn't screwed in, it's just held in. Now what is that? I can't. There we go. I'll take that out of the equation, then there's no risk of fire, hopefully. So a little bit out further, I think, and then zoom focus again. Okay, so we've got this circuit board that I can get out. Oh, I see. This is a light guide. So on the front of the Aukey Light, we've got a little indicator there, and this is just a guide for pushing that light through the little bit of plastic that's there. We've got a multicolored, it's an RGB LED here. I think it's a little, it's one of those type of, it looks like a NeoPixel, I very much doubt it is. That indicates the power level, so it will go red or it will be blue flashing or blue constantly on. Interestingly, none of these chips have any numbers on them, which is great. But we can try and infer some stuff from what we can see, so I'll zoom in for you so you can have a look. So we've got 20/04/2017, so that could be our manufacturing date. It would certainly tally. And what else have we got? S300 version 2.2. We've got some capacitors that could go on here, it looks like. So they had room for some larger capacitors, through-hole capacitors. As the battery input, we've got U3, which is marked as X0 Z59. Well, apparently that is actually 65ZX, and it looks like it's a low dropout voltage regulator to take 5 volts down to 3.3. So it looks like that's providing power when the battery isn't. And we do have the, whoops, what's happened there? Oh, or it's picked up all the screws. That's annoying. So on the bottom side, we've got our USB connector. We've got a large diode and a lot of passives. A MOSFET there. And everything else looks like it's being done from the other chips. We've got another, that's a transistor, that one there. And this will be our charging circuit, this 8-pin chip, which has no details on it. So that'll be the charging for the lithium battery. We've got a MOSFET just there. Yeah, that's going to be our charging circuit. We've got some MOSFETs down here. And we've also got a nice 16-pin chip over here, which is going to be doing all of the controlling of the LEDs on the top. You can see that the cables all come down here for the display, actually plugged in, so they were designed not to be soldered on, which is nice. And I can see that all of those traces come down this way. Some of them come down this way to these MOSFETs. Some of them come over this way to these MOSFETs. So yeah, we've got 2 separate connectors here. So that's really quite cool. We actually have an exposed pad here, which, it's the other side. The key one is actually connected to the black cable, which is connected to this sensor here, TP1. So if I flip this board over, you'll see that that actually is the same pad as this one, but on the other orientation. So that's interesting. Okay, let's pull the switchboard out. I don't think we'll find anything interesting there, but we'll do it anyway. I'm gonna have to go and get another screwdriver. Okay, I've got a little selection of screwdrivers here, so hopefully one of these will do it. What are we looking at? Something quite flat like that. There we go. Endeavour not to break this as I take everything apart, and I'll remember where everything goes. It's sort of unlikely. Now, there... I forgot the big magnet on the bottom. Obviously it's being shielded by this as well, so the screw is there, so it can hold on to the screws for me. That's kind of funny. It's magnetized my screwdriver now as well. Oops. I'm getting a bit of a cold. I don't know whether you can tell. So this will be my last video for a few days. Right, let's see if we can pull that off. There we go. So we do have a big, I don't know how to pronounce, I'm going to say neodymium. Someone will definitely correct me. Let's see if I can focus in on that. There we go, that's good enough. So we can see we've got a big magnet held on there with a bit of, oops, not a lot. It's just sort of pressed fit in there. It's not taped on. Interesting. It was being held on by the screws there. And we've got our switch up here. So power and ground just going into the entire surface of that board, and the switching element up there. So how does that work exactly? Oh, I see. Well, that's interesting. So we've actually got power going in here, and this path here, while it says plus and minus, it just means that the power is going into the entire surface area of this board, and then this one negative wire is the one carrying the signal over. So that's interesting. And we've got the inside of here, so you've got, that's how that button goes through. So you've got like a dome just in there. You can see it slightly moving around. Well, there we go. That is the Aukey, what was it even called? The Aukey Mini RGB Light. Really awesome little thing. I'll put a link in the description if you want to buy one. It'll be one of those nasty affiliate links, so I'll get a kickback if you buy one. But I like it. Now I'm going to go and put this back together, but first I'll pop all the screws and things in the base for now, and then I'm going to have a look at the little wall charger. So back in a second. So let's take a look at this dual USB wall charger. Now it's a lot smaller than these large Aukey ones, which have 3 ports, and they say that they can handle 6 amps in total on all ports. So that's like 2 amps on each port, and I think they carry up to 2.4 amps on each port, but not in total. And this one, before we even get into the box, let's have a little look. So the AI Power Tech, it's a 17 watt charger, as opposed to, what is this? This is a 30 watt 6 amp charger. This one's a 17 watt 3.4 amp full speed charging, charge 2 devices simultaneously. Now, that means it will charge at 3.4 amps across the whole device, I think. So we're looking at 1.54 amps or something, 1.52, yeah, 1.52 per port, I think. It's not going to give you 3 amps out of a single one, I wouldn't imagine, but we can have a little look and we can test it. So I'm just going to test it using a sort of standard load. Well, that is all she wrote. There is nothing else in that box. Nice little packaging though. Do you know, Aukey make really good packaging. I'm very impressed. Go green with Aukey. So we've got a little tiny little USB power supply here. So I like this. Output DC 5 volts, 3.4. Is that easy for you to see? I don't know if it is. Let's zoom in a little bit and hopefully focus up. There we go. So DC 5 volts, 3.4 amps max, made in China. Let's plug it in. We're gonna have to zoom out again now. Plug it in, and let's have a look what the voltage is right now on my incredibly dim display. Have I got another one of those lying around? I have. Look, people are going to hate me for this, but I'm going to look at the voltage on here, 5.26 volts. And then I'm going to plug this one in just because it's easier to read. 5.23. So we're dropping a little bit of voltage there. I'm going to use this one though, and I'll read out the values and we'll see if we can zoom in. I don't know why this one's so dim. Can I just break the... There we go, that's better. It's the case. It's just has a horrible dimming effect. Like, that's kind of rubbish, isn't it? So let's not use that. Either that or the backlight on this thing is a little bit weak. It could be that. Anyhow, I'm going to take the case off and hopefully you don't mind. I haven't changed the language on this yet. Anyway. So 5.26 volts, let's throw in one of these little USB loads and just see what we get. So it's already at 1.8 amps. So that's higher than it should be. Let's see how high we can go before that voltage starts dropping. So currently at 5.15, that's really good. So it looks like you can carry out more current on individual ones, but maybe not both at the same time. Let's take it up to 3. Okay, this device doesn't like greater than 3 amps. This one's fine with it though, so let's do that. But it is reading below, so that's frustrating. So I'm pulling out 3 amps now, which is the max that this will pull out. So I'm fairly satisfied it can handle it. It's got warm very quickly. let's, I don't think I can fit both in here. Let's see what we've got. Ah, I have one of these bendy cables. So let's try this and see if we can use both ports at the same time. So plug that in there. Is that one going to fit? No. It's time to take the back off. There we are. I'm just taking the whole thing apart. Who needs all those bits, eh? Now, I only have another one of these resistive loads. So let's plug that one into, in fact, we kind of need a little one of these monitors. I got one of these gooseneck cables because Julian suggested it, but I've been using a gooseneck cable for this little thing. I'm going to show this to you actually. You can see it working. This presents a problem. Hopefully you can see it working. It is a clock. It's going to be very loud. You see that? Isn't it cool? I love persistence of vision stuff, and this is pretty darn awesome. Anyway, it's drawing 230 milliamps, that thing. It's got a real-time clock in it, so it's kept that time for well over a year now, which is nice. Anyway, let's get back to what we were doing, which was having a look at this. Now, if I can angle that in a certain position, you guys are going to have to cock your heads to sort of see what's going on here. So I'm drawing 1 amp over here. The voltage reading, ignore that, it's probably wrong. And we've got 5.2 volts, 5.23 volts on this one. And we're going to plug in this. Let's wind that down. We don't want it to be at 3 amps. So we're at 0.3 amps. We're on 1 amp over here. Let's throw that up to 2 amps roughly over here. Well, it should be 1.69 it says there. So let's turn this one up. We're going to go for 2 amps on this side, and then we're going to be really pushing it, I think. So the voltage on here is 5.13, down here it's 4.54, which I wouldn't trust. So I've just taken that off to 1 amp, 4.74 it's gone up to. I don't have another tester, unless I have that little USB doctor around. I can't see it. Let's try this one instead. Ouch. The resistors are hot. So that charge doctor reads 4.87 again, probably not accurate. But we're pulling 3 amps out of the thing. We're actually pulling close to 4 amps. So the voltage is holding steady. I'm fairly happy. It's not getting warm, so that's all right. We've got 5 volts over here, 4.6 over here. This thing's garbage. This thing's better, so I'm told. So I think that's a fairly successful test. And a really, God, it smells. Which one smells? Oh, it's the resistors. They get horribly hot. Fairly interesting to see that I can take this thing apart and it actually works a lot nicer. Wow. I don't know if you've ever seen these. These are pretty cool. Anyhow, we knew this was going to be fine. It's an Aukey power supply. I've used them loads. They're really useful. This one has the AI power thing as well, which means it allows devices to draw as much current as they need up to a certain value, which is probably about 2.4 amps. So yeah, there you go. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoyed it. It's been fun, hasn't it? Yay, it still works.